Good morning. Welcome to FRB Friday Vibe. Hi, Stewart. How you doing?
I'm very good, thank you, Carl. Yourself?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Good. Been an interesting week. We had a discussion on B2B customer satisfaction, didn't we?
We
Um,
did.
which was great. Spurred a couple of things in my mind. Certainly, I think people will see on LinkedIn. I've revamped an article I wrote a little while ago about uh, the relationship manager side of it. What did it do for you, that discussion? What were your thoughts?
I think overall, obviously the main focus of the conversation was around how do you measure B2B satisfaction, um, your client satisfaction, customer satisfaction in a B2B type business model, and I guess fundamentally, it proves how much more difficult that is compared to, I guess, measuring consumer satisfaction. Doesn't mean it's impossible, but just certainly the comment to the fact that qualitative, really easy, I guess, to go after and get. But to get into some statistical significance, trends slash surveying mechanisms that are sustainable and reflect your true drivers of satisfaction across potentially all your segments of business is definitely much more problematic, I guess, in terms of how that works. I think that was the summary of the conversation. I don't know if Carl, you read the same.
Yeah, I agree. It surprises me, I've got to say, that it's so difficult in this day and age. Um, uh, the complexity is one side of it, I guess. When you're talking to a B2C, to a consumer, the person that pays and uses the service is either the same person or a member of the same family. So that makes it easier in some respects. What does surprise me is how difficult everyone was talking about the engagement for the B2B, because potentially there's more to gain for both sides for
Sure.
getting things right. I'm just amazed, having sort of grown up, worked in that very element of the communication between businesses. You see how important it is, and anyone that's done that sort of role will recognise that part of your 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 role, the purpose of what you do is to understand the customer. After you've done it for a little while, you start to understand it's just as difficult and important to understand your business, and then trying to marry those two things together is really, really difficult. And that's where the lack of data surprises me, because it it if you've only got the profitability, share of wallet, basic stuff on returns and complaints, you haven't got any sort of richness in that, and then you're left with the perception of the two people that are talking, for both companies, and then I'm really surprised. I think it's something that needs more focus.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and again, the conversation we had the other day led to the fact that many companies do sort of focus groups and invite people to sessions, and businesses tend to be up for that sort of stuff and have a good conversation that's that gets real good qualitative type information and input. But obviously, that's only really representative of the people that are in the room or the people that you are there, right? Because the volumes, you might run two or three, four, five focus groups with I don't know, a dozen in each, but you might have a business client base of hundreds of thousands, right? So it's how do you get to the stage where you've got statistical significance of what they're saying to the overall demographic, geographies, segmentation, etc. of the businesses that you're servicing. Is I think is questionable. I think in
Oh,
some
I'm,
ways.
I'm in a bit of a mood on this subject, Stuart. I don't think it's questionable. I think it's downright dangerous in a lot of situations. I've sat on a lot of those. I've sat in on a lot of those discussions for various people over the years, from automotive, telco, um, and where I worked in engineering. And the people that come to the sessions are usually there because they're unhappy or they're very happy or they've been selected. It's very difficult for them to be representative, and that's a real problem. We all do good stuff. Don't get me wrong; they do good things, especially when people test out a new experience or a new experience design or a new customer journey. That's good, and I think that probably is where it's more beneficial. But if you haven't got that real data around it about what is actually happening on all the different levels of the different of the interaction between the organisations, I think it's really, really difficult.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it gives you insight and it gives you stuff that you can maybe act on. Whether that's the right stuff, I guess, is the danger, compared to the masses. But it certainly gives you stuff to go and do. I also think, just in terms of then understanding, what's the consequences of your action, unless you go back and ask the same people the same things, it's very difficult to then understand, again, statistically, the trends, the patterns, of behavior, of action, and what's really working and what not. So because again, it's a sort of a point of view from a selection versus a more systemic way of getting measurement, right? So it's a fascinating subject. I'm sure we will have more conversations on it with some of our clients. But interestingly, on the meeting the other day, no one's, my view was no one has really cracked it, right? Whereas consumer measurement, lots of people have really cracked that, done a really good job, got some really great data. They validated the data. They actively use that data. It's almost, it's like
the only people that you can say have got. Sorry, you're a bit slow there on the thing. But the only people you can say that have got fairly close to it are the smaller companies, and that's easier, right? Because you know your clients and that sort of stuff. I don't want to open up a whole great conversation, but seeing as we're there and we talked a little bit about data, is AI part of the answer to this? Do we think? Do we think that may be how we can start combining all this really complex data to get trends, understand what's going on?
I think AA might have a purpose in terms of how you analyze, because there's various pieces of information you're going to gather from, as we say, various segments and types of businesses. So AI might be a great tool to try and get to the truth, get to the nuggets, get to the things that are meaningful. So I think it might have a purpose, but ultimately I think the issue is how do you get the response, the input from the businesses, and actually AI is probably is maybe part of the solution, but I think it's more fundamental than that. I think the issue.
I was just thinking about, as you were saying that are the companies going to want to share their data? Because if they were quite open enough to share their data, then you'd probably get solutions very quickly. All the incoming stock and everything. If all that was shared, then but I guess the politics of that would be quite difficult. I do think we keep talking about having an AI debate. What is its actual role? I think that's one we need to get to at some stage. Okay, it's got all the headlines at the moment, but I think in a practical sense, that's a conversation we need to have to understand in practice, in most organisations or in any organisation, what can it do and what can't it do, and how do you go about implementing things. So I think that's a conversation we need to have, and you're a resident expert on that, Stewart. You'll be nominated, so you can lead on that. Now, we've also had we've been collecting up some questions that have come to us over the last couple of weeks, especially around the post office, and I think it's we're not really just